Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we're going to have a fun-filled show recapping the sports weekend that was. Of course, we'll talk about Razorback football, Razorback coaching search, Razorback basketball. For sure, we'll get a lot of the conversation. We'll get into best and worst of the weekend. We'll get some other things going around the sports world, and, of course, get into your chats as the show goes on. But, fellas, it's Monday. It's very cold outside, but how are the vibes here on this Monday afternoon?
Slowly getting better. I'm still a little salty about that game on Saturday, man. I'm not going to lie, but with every minute that passes by, I get a little bit more over it and looking forward to seeing this team play again. So we're getting there. Not quite, but we're getting there.
Yeah, definitely grateful for that quick turnaround playing tomorrow. Looking forward to that for sure. We're in a weird time period now where basketball, we know we got a good team, but we're going to have to wait to really see that team be good and see them play some bigger challenges and get that taste really out of our mouth. We know Arkansas is going to hire a football coach soon, but it's probably not going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And so we kind of have to wait there. And so we're in a little bit of a weird, patient time period where we just have to kind of sit and be friends with each other and talk ball for a little bit, which is where the three of us shine.
That's right. Luckily, we're really good at those things. And it was funny because, as people should know by now who's been watching the show, we always go live a little bit later on Mondays because of the football press conference that starts at noon. Last week, because it was a bye week, we didn't do it. But Bobby Petrino is back as interim coach. And let's just be very transparent and very real about this, guys. We all three watch that press conference. It's almost just like it doesn't matter. You know, it's just like none of this matters. And it's unfortunate because, you know, we'll still talk about things that may come up. And, you know, there's some updates on the health situation because they got LSU coming up this weekend in Baton Rouge at 11:45. Like, it's still, the games are still going to get played. There's still going to be people that watch it. We're still going to watch it and everything. But Curtis, I think you even texted into the group. It's just sitting here like, man, it just sucks. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality. And I don't think it's us. I think it's everybody of just kind of understanding what the situation is. And these final three games, it's almost like, hey, let's just fast forward through them and get through this whole thing. And let's just call it a year and move on and find a coach.
I guess that's what happens when you've lost 7 straight and you're operating with, kind of what seems like a lame duck interim. You know what I mean? That is the world that we live in. But yeah, I was trying to psych myself out for about 20 minutes there on, Bobby versus the LSU interim, and oh man, the battle for the golden boot. There's a trophy involved, but I'm not gonna lie, boys, I just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, I definitely can't quite get there. The good thing is, in Baton Rouge, they can't get there either. They hate their team just as much as Arkansas does, and so I don't think either team is super excited about this game. So perhaps that makes it more winnable for Arkansas. But yeah, it's really tough to sit there and listen to Bobby talk about the team and really feign interest, And I think what sucks about it is, like, throughout the season, you start off with your goals of, oh man, maybe we could win 8 games, 9 games, and it's like, okay, maybe we can make it to a bowl game, and then you fire the coach, and it's like, okay, maybe they can just have some fun with Bobby. Pretty much all of those things are out of the window at this point, and so I'm looking for inspiration. I'm looking for something to latch onto to give this game this weekend stakes, or give just the rest of the season stakes. But I think we all kind of know we're just in wait and see mode to see what this program does moving forward, and these games are just kind of what's the term I'm looking for, where you have to do it just to do it, but it doesn't really mean anything.
I mean, it's just all in vain, pretty much, is how I look at it. Vanity, if you would. That's how it feels. And it's funny because I saw somebody, I think it was yesterday, they tweeted at me about, hey, Arkansas plays LSU. Remember the last time Arkansas went up against LSU when they had an interim coach in Baton Rouge? I'm like, oh yeah. I guess they won kind of in 2021, but I don't know if Ed Orgeron was an interim. It was more of just him being a lame duck coach and not in a job. But the point is like, that's kind of how it's viewed. It's like, all right, cool. Because if either one of these coaches win, what does it do? Nothing, because neither of these guys are going to be the head coach permanently moving forward for either program. But the game is going to get played. And, this thing is like, I'm rooting for Arkansas, and everybody should still root for Arkansas to win, because it sucks losing 7 in a row, especially when 6 of those 7 have been by, as we know, 1 possession games. And, beating LSU would be nice. And also just getting one of those trophies. The battle, it's going to be probably, I'm trying to think back, guys. Has there ever been a more meaningless battle for the Golden Boot? I don't know if there ever has been a more meaningless one. I'm serious. I don't think there has been.
Probably not, man. Yeah, I don't know. I guess whoever wins this game can put it on their resume as a footnote. Won the Battle of the Golden Boot as an interim coach. I don't know, man. Hell, this is one of the very, very rare games. It's not going to be at night in Death Valley too. I mean, just everything about this, people just know. Like, there's not a whole lot to get excited about. But I'm with you, man. Like, you root for the Razorbacks and wish them success. I hope that, these seniors that are playing their last ball, the ones that care, like Taylon Green and some guys like that, I don't want them to go 2-10, man. Like, get an SEC win, do something cool, have something to remember. That would be nice. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't have a lot of motivation for them. You don't want me to give the pep talk pregame because I don't think I'd have a lot of ammo.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one as well. And it's one of those things where it's not even just because Arkansas sucks, because we've seen a bad Arkansas team play LSU, and it still have a lot of meaning. I mean, the Miracle on Markham Part 2 came when a 4-7 Arkansas team somehow goes in there and wins in Little Rock, and that was awesome. Like, that didn't mean anything big picture, but that was a cool moment for the fan base, cool moment for the program. Year one under Bobby, it felt like you kind of had something there. I remember the first Arkansas LSU game I ever got to attend was 2005, and Arkansas was really bad. I think they finished 4-8, 5-7, somewhere around there that year. So going into that LSU game, it had no stakes, but I remember me and my dad and my best friend, we were there cheering our hearts out, and like Arkansas wound up losing a close game in McFadden's freshman year. But even then, it was like we knew it didn't matter for that season, but it's still like we were still in there fighting, and it meant something for the fans. There's been some games like that. I really do think on both sides, I've never seen a game like this with Arkansas and LSU where it really does mean nothing, because at least most times LSU's at least 9-2 or whatever, and it's like, oh, they could still do something, or you have the opportunity to spoil their season. I don't think Arkansas could spoil LSU's season. I think Arkansas could win 38-0 on Saturday, and like I don't even think anyone in Louisiana would notice.
Yeah, and I also think that if Arkansas did beat LSU 38-0, I don't think that's going to take some fans being like, man, I wasn't going to watch that Arkansas-Texas game, but when they won, 38-0 over LSU, now I'm going to watch it. Now I'm interested. Like, it's not going to change everybody's mentality about anything other than just the fact of like, hey, that was good. God, we could end the losing streak, but let's just move on.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys, and I want the chat also to weigh in on this because we love hearing what they have to say. I think I know the answer while I ask you guys this, but I'm just giving the chat their opportunity. Is there anything that could happen in this game or whatever to where you would maybe rethink and say, you know what, maybe this coaching search thing isn't an outside hire thing all for sure, no matter what?
Nope.
No.
I'm with you. I agree with you. Let's just be clear. I do agree with you, but I'm sure someone in the chat's going to make the case for it, right?
Could it be a start to that though? That might be the better way to put it. Like, if you start that and then you beat Texas and Mizzou, like, would people change their tune then? I don't know, man. I still don't know if I would.
We are getting a lot of no's in the chat. A lot of no's in the chat.
See, but because I'm with you. Like, if it's like one of those things where I say it now, but then when the moment happens, it may change it. It's kind of like when I've talked about, hey, don't rush the field when you beat Tennessee. That's stupid. But then when it happened, it was like, okay, well, I kind of get it now. It's like, no, absolutely not. But then if you go out and beat the three teams that have pretty much owned you for a period of time, and I guess Texas hasn't owned you, but you've lost, and you would get those rivalry. I think Petrino was asked about the permanent three opponents, which he was just like, I had no idea that was the thing. I did not know that was who Arkansas was going to be playing about the future. But it's like you win those, it's like, yeah, it's great. And especially if you beat Missouri at the end, it's like, all right, that's great. But I just don't see it as being like, all right, well, if Petrino does that, then he for sure gets the head coaching job, which is also funny. Just being honest, because I have the right to change my mind. I was one of those that felt like, hey, if he wins 3 games, you may have to consider him the job. Well, this would be 3 wins. So it's just a conundrum that I don't want to go down. It's a thing I don't want to happen just for the sake of, like, my mental capacity can only take so much of justifying and bouncing back and forth on stuff.
I like this comment here from Big 88 Fox Body Fan. Says if they go 3-0 in these last 3, it might change my tone. They won't even commit to it, because I think that's kind of where we're at too, where it's like, even if they like really played just inspired football for 3 weeks, I still really can't say that it would fully change the way I view this thing. And so I appreciate the transparency from the fan base. It's just being like, no, we're not entertaining this. And I'm proud of you guys. Let me just say that. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen. And it's just weird. Isn't that weird? I don't want the Arkansas Razorbacks to like win in a capacity and in a way, because I just don't want it to, like, if you're already on a pathway to getting a new coach. Stay on that path. Don't say, well, geez, man, guys, I know we're about to hire James Franklin, but Petrino won 3 games here. Like, no. Don't stay on your path. Don't mind the man behind the curtain. Just stay on your path and go forward. Like that's what I want. I don't want any second guessing. I don't want any of that stuff. But wouldn't that be, we always say the most Arkansas thing? That would be the most Arkansas thing ever, is just something stupid like that happens and ends up causing a rift, and like the people making the decisions are like, oh, I want Bob. You won 3 games. And this guy's like, well, we want Franklin. And other guys just like, I want Ryan Silverfield. And he ends up getting shot. Like, it's just, it's just how it just doesn't need to be that way. There's no needs to be torn. Everyone needs to be on the same page.
Only Arkansas could be in a spot where like winning football games would actually be detrimental to the university and the fan base. Like, it would actually cause utter chaos if Arkansas won games here.
Just so dumb, man. Just so dumb. Let's not go down the path. I know it's fun to entertain, but let's just not go down the path. Let's just, we'll just take you guys can keep the golden boot down there in Baton Rouge for another year, and we'll move on from there. All right. Because because Arkansas has only beaten LSU once since Les Miles. Isn't that crazy that since Les Miles was fired, they've only beaten LSU once, and you feel it. So, but I will say, guys, I think we can maybe talk about this later, but we can do it. If you had to win one game between LSU or Missouri, the ones you've like lost to a lot, who would you rather do? It's either be Missouri, right? If you could choose one. Okay.
Oh yeah, Missouri for me.
Okay. Yeah.
It would mean more to beat Missouri. Like, it would actually hurt their feelings.
Yes. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe they'll have an interim coach by that point. Maybe old Drinky will be heading up to Happy Valley or something crazy like that. Like, it could end up happening. So, but either way, enough about that nonsense that nobody cares about. But what we do care about is our friends over at Drain Masters, who is the official plumbing as well as drain cleaning service of Inside Arkansas. A lot of you who are out there, you probably think that everything's fine in your home or at your business, and then one day, bam, suddenly you're getting flooded. You got overflow. You got issues with your plumbing, and you don't know what to do. You don't want to mess anything up. All you know is that things aren't flushing, things aren't going down the sink, and that could be very problematic, not only for the house, but for the structure, but also for the smell, everything. Well, don't worry about it. Let the pros, let the masters, if you would, of Drain Masters Incorporated help you out. They're licensed plumbing and drain cleaning in Arkansas as well as in Oklahoma, and they are professional and reliable when it comes to their service. So if you have any of these issues and need any of these services at your home or business, give them a call today and get an appointment set up. 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you to their website to where you can also request a service there. And the best part about it, folks, is that if you say the boys from Inside Arkansas sent you, 10% off all of your services. 10% off. Doesn't matter how much you get done. It doesn't matter how many services you need. You say that Inside Arkansas sent you, you get 10% off. So anything and everything plumbing related, no job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. All right, so we'll get into, I'm sure, some of your chats about football and whatnot, but I do want to say, though, Curtis, you brought up the basketball side of things, too. Guys did Pot at the Palace post-game. People were frustrated. I know I was frustrated. Y'all were frustrated. It's a loss. You can't go undefeated if you lose a game. It's unfortunate, but just out of curiosity, now that things have settled down, I know you've done Pot at the Palace, too, Curtis, but I mean, just how are the feelings now, a couple days removed from the game itself?
I think the best way that I could sum it up is that my thoughts haven't changed on this team. I think the upside is very, very high. I think they've got a good mix that is capable of doing something really special. My tune hasn't changed on what I think this team is going to wind up doing here. But I am frustrated that they weren't able to announce themselves to the world in this spot, because that's what this was for them. It was a validation opportunity. Teams don't do this. They don't go on the road and play other ranked teams early in the season. The only other team that did it was Kansas, and they got the hell beat out of them at North Carolina. So on one hand, it's like, okay, you were bold, and that kind of goes to show you how you feel about your group, and all that's fine. They're going to be okay. So I'm not sweating a big picture, but I am pissed that they lost that game. I went back and watched, I think, the last 7 or 8 minutes when it looked like it was going to wind up being just kind of a casual Michigan State win. They kind of had it under control, and Arkansas made that furious rally. They had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It was like Michigan State was trying to give it to them, and Arkansas didn't want to take it, man. So many shots, so many possessions where one of them could have gone differently, and you could have gone to overtime and tried to extend that thing out. So no shame in that loss there. but damn it, I really wish they would have got that one, because now we just got to do the thing for 2 weeks where it's like, all right, how much is Arkansas improving against 4 teams that suck? But the truth is, nobody's really going to be willing to jump all the way back on until that Duke game. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's going to kind of take it with a grain of salt, and I don't blame them, but they're going to be fine. We'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks.
Yeah, the Arkansas Razorbacks are better than they showed on Saturday. That much, like, we all can firmly agree on. Like, I don't think this is a case of, like, they got exposed and, like, we found out they aren't as good as we thought they were. I think they played poorly and they lost a game that they should have won. And frankly, they played poorly and still had very many opportunities down the stretch to win a game against a good squad on the road. And so on that note, I'm somewhat encouraged. And I do look at this and say, okay, Carter Knox was pretty much useless in this game. Trevon Brazile was pretty much useless in a head case in this game. Those are 2 things that I don't expect to be most of the time. Like, I'm not saying they won't happen again, but I don't expect those 2 guys to be that bad routinely. You know, I definitely don't think they're going to be that bad in these next few games. I don't think they'll be that bad against Duke, frankly. Like, I don't think this is a thing that, like, we should expect to see, and this is going to be a factor of this team. So big picture, I look at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, Arkansas didn't play well. They will play better in other games. They will get better performances from 2 of their leaders in other games. And so it's like you said, it doesn't change my view of, like, can they beat Duke? Can they beat these top teams in the SEC? Can they make the tournament? Can they go on a run? All those things are very much on the table, and I think even likely. And I still feel pretty good about it. It just sucks that this was a moment to, like you said, announce themselves. And I just can't get over the fact that the biggest game of your year, like the game that we all had our eyes on, you laid an egg. And it's not the end of the world. I don't expect them to continue to lay eggs. But I do think that's something that should really rub this team wrong, you know, and be like, man, we were there in a close game. We had a chance that was right there, and we didn't take advantage of it. And we had a chance to make a statement, and we didn't take advantage of it. I think that should bother the team way more than, do we have the physicality? Are we a good enough rebounding team? Are we going to be able to go on the road? Like, I just think conceptually, the fact that everyone was watching you and you failed, that should bother you more than anything else. And so, yeah, I'm sure they will take out their frustrations on some of these teams, and no one will care, nor should they care, frankly. And I see some Hog fans that are, like, upset. Oh, they fell to 21 in the poll. We do not have that right now to be nitpicking and complaining about our ranking and saying, oh, no, you should give us more respect. You got to go out there and get that respect. And I'm sure this team will go out there and get that respect, but we just have to wait. And so as a Razorback fan, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to suck, but you just got to fight through this moment here. And then you got to take advantage of the opportunities, get that bad taste out of your mouth.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. And I agree with both of you as far as just being able to make that announcement that you've arrived type of deal, or at least that you're making a statement. I'm going to do the thing with that Andrew does. 2 things can be right at once. You can look at it from the perspective of, okay, hey, this is a tough team, again, in a tough environment. You lost by 3 while not playing your A game. You want to win, but this is something that kind of maybe can be a benefit to you. You know, is it a learning experience? Is it something you get better from, where you got hit in the mouth a little bit, and now you're like, all right, let's focus in, let's get these next 3 games, and let's dominate, work on some things, get Carter Knox back into the mix, and then against Duke, we're ready for them. That's great. Or is it going to be one of those deals to where you're, going to take it as a bad deal and get down on yourself, whatever it is. But the other thing that can't be right is being the frustrated part, because it's nice to me, as weird as it may sound, it's nice to me to be upset and be frustrated by this. It's not one of those, well, golly gee, they almost did it. It's like, no, they needed to win. They needed to play better. They needed to do these things. And it's not an excuse for it. And I'm sorry to everybody when I tweeted out that I'm going to be mad if Arkansas loses by a 1-possession game to Michigan State, and they did. Like, I'm sorry. It's just how it happened. But the point is, I'm not happy. I'm not looking at this game in a beneficial thing of, well, I know this is a good loss. No, I'm looking at it as, I'm pissed, but I also am hopeful that if it justifies the means to the end, to where you learn something great from it and it makes you better from it, then great. It's second game of the season. I just don't want it to be like, it's probably a bad example, but like last year when they lost to Baylor, I think second game of the year, and it was barely, and they didn't play well. And I remember in my mind, I was like, well, they're, once they get some guys back, but then it kept struggling. I'm just hoping it's not one of those types of situations.
That felt very different to me, like extremely similar outcomes. But I remember leaving that game against Baylor, and I was like, both these teams might suck. And I didn't feel that the other night. I was like, oh, you know what? Both these teams are good. I like the upside with this group more for sure. And like the AP poll stuff, it is a double-edged sword. I tried to prep everybody for what was going to happen this morning on the pod at the Palace, because it is a tale as old as time. I just kind of felt like this could go either way. It's ballsy to schedule Michigan State on the road the first weekend of the season. That's why nobody does things like this. The win would have been high magnitude. Look at what Alabama did. They went and played St. John's, pseudo road game, beat the hell out of them, and they're the talk of the country right now. That could have been Arkansas in that spot. The flip side is, if you lose that game, you have a loss on your resume. And so that's why they drop, because people are looking at it and they're going like, well, yeah, you know, it's Michigan State and that's a tough one, but you did take the L there. I don't know. These other teams are 2-0. How can we keep you in front of them? That's all this is. And so Arkansas taking a loss in a really tough game doesn't make them a worse team than the 15, 20 other teams in front of them that have played nobody and won both games by 40. But you got to put them somewhere. And the people who do these polls evaluate it differently. I look at like the analyst, like Ken Pom, who has pissed us off, Torvik, who's been a little bit better, but Arkansas might have dropped like a spot after that game. And I think that's a better reflection of maybe where they're at after this one.
Which, to be fair, the Ken Poms and the Torviks did have Arkansas losing by about 2 or 3 points. And so into their defense, it's like, this is pretty much what they expected. And so, yeah, there shouldn't be a huge drop off. And John, I like the point you made. And I do think there's something to the mental, like how we process it as fans, because obviously there are a lot of people who are frustrated, but there's a lot of people who also realize it's not the end of the world. And sometimes we do this thing, where like we'll be talking about something and some of the fans will be like, well, what, y'all can't be talking about this. Let's just focus on the task at hand. And we're like, dude, like obviously the team needs to focus on the task at hand, but like we can talk about whatever. And I do think that's an important distinction to make, that like we can look at that loss Saturday and say, you know what, that'll be good for them to go through that adversity. They can learn from that. I do hope the team is not viewing it through that lens where they're like, oh, you know what, we're learning. We learned a lot on Saturday. It's all fine. Like, I hope those dudes are like waking up in the morning pissed off and are like embarrassed and humiliated, frankly, and hold themselves to a way higher standard. We know ball, and we look at this thing from a big picture standpoint. We kind of know, okay, it's tough to go on the road at Michigan State. It actually will help them, but like, I do hope that this team, and I do trust that they are. Like, I feel pretty confident that guys like Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff are like waking up every day, can't wait to get to the gym because they want to get that taste out of their mouth. And I expect we'll see that in the effort Tuesday. But I think it is kind of a fascinating time because we're going to be in this mode for like 2 weeks where Arkansas is not going to move a ton in the metrics. They're not going to move a ton in the rankings. Maybe they're getting better. Maybe they're not. But like, we don't really know until we know.
Did you guys get to watch Cal's post game yet?
I didn't get to finish it, but I did watch
the short one. That made me feel better than anything.
Yes.
He was pissed.
He was sort of, he was transparent, was very open about like, hey, my 2 freshmen didn't play great today, but they're awesome players. They're going to be fine. They needed this. He said all the right things, and he was talking about his approach to, some guys who were maybe I think he was saying that the guys didn't lose themselves within the team. And he wasn't talking about people playing selfish, but right now the pecking order hasn't been established. So everybody was trying to be the hero and make the play themselves as opposed to within the team. And so I thought he said some really good stuff there, but everything he said, even when he was being critical, there wasn't an ounce of worry or concern in his voice as he was talking about it. And it was like, hey, this is why we did it. This is where we're at. And these are things we're going to improve on. Love my freshmen. We're going to be fine. And that made me feel better after I listened to that. I should have listened to it before I did the report card because I was still pissed off. I did it, and then I listened to it, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't change any of my grades, but I might have had a little bit of a different tone about it because I was salty on that one.
Yeah, well, and it was funny, too, because there were some things even after the fact, Curtis, that, I went and looked at the box score and looked at game stats. And there's some stuff that, I kind of understood which players struggled, which didn't, everything like that. But it was one of those deals to where I see as you guys know, on stat broadcast or whatever, the top right corner will have like a colorful box of some note. And it's like Michigan State did not score a field goal in the final 6 minutes of the game. And I'm like, dadgummit, man. Like, that's the type of stuff where I'm like, just pisses me off. It's like that type of thing. It's, again, not taking anything away against Michigan State or anything like that. It's just, little things like that just bother me. But again, I feel like Arkansas it's a good spot for them. I liked what Cal says. I trust Cal. It's going to be okay, but it's not the end of the world. It just would have been nice. It would have been fun. Would have been fun to have not even doing Pot the Pals post game, but then coming on here on Mondays, be like, yeah, man, like look at this, isn't this great? I mean, I think it's they could win it all, But now it's like you got to wait, kind of like what Andrew said, till Duke. That'll be the next big challenge for you. Nothing against who is it, UCA and other whatevers. You got to win those games, but the rest of it would have been nice.
UCA, Samford, Winthrop, and Jackson State, I think, are the 4 games before Duke. So
yeah. Is it just don't do it, guys. Just don't do it. Just take care of business. Let's get to Duke. Let's get to Thanksgiving. Let's have a good time there too. But part of your Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall, has to deal with basketball, and we'll get into that. But I want to remind everybody that Alumni Hall is the ultimate Razorback shopping destination. It doesn't matter what Razorback apparel you would want. If you want jerseys, they got them. If you want polos, they got them. The high-end polos, they got them. The high-end quarter zips, they got them. Coach gears, they got them. Hats, they got them. Men, women, and kids, all clothing apparel, they got them. So check them out today. You can go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. That's insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. You check out all the different things that they have and have it delivered straight to your door. We're going to be there next Friday for a live show at 3417 North College Avenue. So looking forward to that. But if you're going to get geared up for this Razorback basketball season, especially now that it's cold outside, they have plenty of winter gear there as well. So check them out today. Again, it's Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. And guys, I just wanted to bring this up as far as a poll question, just to get where the Razorback fans are at. After that loss to Michigan State on the road, does it give you any cause of concern? Is it a lot of concern, some concern, or no concern? 70% of you say no concern. And then 26% of you say some concern. And only 4.5% of you say, or 4% of you say a lot of concern.
That's fair. I did a segment at the end of the show this morning that was basically exactly that, but just specific things from the game. Like you take a loss and everybody's firing off the hot takes, including us, and that's fine. But like what could actually be an issue for this team versus just kind of stunk at it against Michigan State and we're not really sweating it. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm not worried about Carter Knox. You know what I mean? He's going to be just fine. I'm not worried about the freshmen who were inefficient in this game, but like I am worried a little bit about rebounding and what that's going to look like. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm worried about Malik Ewan and needing to get it going a little bit. It's still very, very early for all that, but yeah, just after that game, I have a hard time getting overly concerned about the way things are looking moving forward. Yeah, you got stuff you got to work on just like everybody else, but I don't know that I see a bunch of fatal flaws or anything like that with this group. They're going to be all right.
I would agree with that as well. And so I'm definitely not in the like was it overly concerned or like very concerned, somewhat concerned,
some concerned, or a lot of concerned.
I think I fall in the some concern category, which, is, I guess, more than the majority of the chat who's no concern. The only reason I'm at some concern is just because I can't emphasize this enough. I did not think that was going to happen Saturday. And I know that we all kind of know there's like the hogs going hog and all that. And that's why I'm annoyed and why I'm concerned and why I'm frustrated is because it's like I really thought this team was above that. Not that I thought they were above having a bad shooting night or, losing a tough game on the road. I just thought we've been talking a lot about how they're ahead of schedule and how we compare it to last year's team. And when they went on the road or went to Dallas to play Baylor and you thought both those teams stunk and they weren't really prepared for that. And I do agree this performance is a lot better. It's different than that. Like this isn't a expose. This isn't a, oh crap, we're really bad. I just kind of thought Arkansas was at a point where you had a core in place. You mentioned the hierarchy. You kind of have an idea of who your guys are. I thought they would be a little bit more ahead of schedule. And so I am annoyed, and I just kind of thought that offensively, I thought they were going to be able to impose their game a little bit more. I thought they were going to be able to get out and run a little bit more. And I think that's what concerns me is that to see a team very clearly like impose their identity on Arkansas and Arkansas not be able to impose their own identity on Michigan State, which of course you have to find that identity before you can impose it. I think that's why I go with some concern, mostly just because, like I always say, it's about the expectation. I expected Arkansas to win. I thought there was a chance they won by like 8 or 10. I really did. And so when that didn't happen, I have to adjust. I have to react based on what I saw.
What did you guys think about the physicality aspect of this. I've seen a good number of people, like in post game, everybody was mad about it, and I've seen a little bit of it in the chat here about how Arkansas just got out tough. They got punked. They got out physicaled. I don't think they won the physicality battle there, but I don't know that I'm concerned about, like, I don't know that this team comes across as soft or anything like that to me. I think you got a lot of toughness on the wings. Nick Pringle, I thought, played his ass off. He was in there very fit, great interior defense. We haven't seen that since Jalen Williams with his interior defense in there. It was tough on the boards, and I get that, and that's something they absolutely have to work on for sure. I'm going to be anxious to see what it looks like moving forward, because how much of that was because you were playing one of those rare teams that goes double bigs in their lineup, and Trevon was in foul trouble, and Ewan in the first half, and so you had to play a guard at the 4. Like, you're going to get your ass kicked on the boards when you're playing a team that plays 2 big men and you got a guard who's got to defend them. I kept looking up and I was seeing Carter or Billy trying to guard the Cam Ward kid. That's a tough assignment. Or the 6'11" kid that they had in there that was playing the 4. That's what's going to happen to you. So when that becomes a concern for me is when Trevon's in foul trouble like he was and was out of the game. Outside of that, Arkansas wouldn't have won the rebounding battle. They wouldn't have just absolutely punked Michigan State from a physicality standpoint. I don't know that I'm really overly concerned about that aspect with this team. I think they're tough, and I think there's plenty of physicality there with this group. I mean, look at Acuff and Wagner as your guards. Like, those dudes are jacked. Carter and Billy play with a lot of toughness in there. You got Pringle. You need certain guys to be better about it. Malik Ewan looking at you, but I don't know if I'm really sweating that too much.
I'm not, because I think that's a great point, Curtis, because I didn't look at that game where, again, we all understand you didn't play your best and everything, but I didn't look at that game as, oh man, Arkansas just got punked physically by another physical team. You know, I didn't feel like, which we've seen previous years where it's just like, yeah, they just don't got it. They just don't have the dudes to go up against it. I think the foul trouble and the foul situation really played a factor into it. And given that circumstance, they played all right. Like, you know, I didn't see Trevon Brazile or Billy Richmond, those guys just getting owned, you know, like we've seen previously. So I think it's, again, you want to be better. You want to be better from it. But I don't see it as like, oh, geez, well, when SEC play comes around, I don't know how this Arkansas team's going to be able to handle it physically. It's like, I didn't get that vibe at all. Doesn't mean that they're not going to get another team that out physicals them a little bit, but it's not this wide margin to where it's just like, oh, well, the jury's out on Arkansas. All you got to do is just back them down and punk them, and that's it. Like, I didn't get that vibe.
I like what both of you said, and I agree. I'll even take it a step further, and I know this is going to, people are going to disagree. Arkansas getting out physical is not why they lost that basketball game on Saturday. It's just not. The fact that they lost the rebounding battle is not the reason they lost that game. Michigan State scored 69 points. For as much as I've seen everybody being like, oh, man, like you said, John, oh, you just got to hammer it inside against Arkansas. They scored 69 points on 41% shooting. And I know they only made 1 3. And so you could look at it and say, well, if they had made some threes, they would have blown Arkansas out. Sure. But I'm like, I think conceptually, the getting out physical and the getting busted up in the paint would have been perfectly fine if Arkansas's offense could have scored 70 points. And I know it's not that simple because there's a pace and there's a tempo and there's all these things, plus the foul trouble that Arkansas got into. I get all that, but it's like, my thing that actually concerned me more than anything is the fact that Arkansas wasn't able to get to the rim. They weren't able to drive past Michigan State. They weren't able to get into the interior of their defense. I think if Arkansas plays even a C-plus offensive game, they win this game fairly comfortably. You know, they go 7 of 28 from 3. If they go 9 of 28 from 3, which wouldn't have even been a good percent, they win that game, you know? And I think that the game that Arkansas was going to kind of play, because when you go into a matchup, you know the strengths and weaknesses. You know, all right, their 4-man's got a little advantage here. We're a little bit better at the backcourt. You know, all this. I thought everything that Michigan State was supposed to be held up. Arkansas just didn't live up to who they were supposed to be, which is one of the best offenses in the country, one of the best offenses we've seen. We talked a lot during the preseason about how this is the best offensive squad we've seen in a while at Arkansas. Had they even lived up to any bit of that, they win this game pretty comfortably, and they win, 76-69 on the road, and nobody would be doing this thing about how they got busted up in the paint. Giving up a lot of paint points does suck. I don't want to do that. It's not ideal, but that's not why Arkansas lost that game Saturday.
Yeah, and I don't think, because I know we'll have some other things to bring up about this game, but I felt like this needs to be one of those games that you don't remember. And what I mean by that is, at the end of the season, in the postseason, all of that, I do not want to look back on this game and even remember it whatsoever, because it didn't matter. But the last thing I want to do, though, is remember it and going back on it and be like, oh yeah, remember that's when we found out what this Arkansas team's like. That's what we found out what this is going to be the brand of. Because last year, they would always blow big leads. And, against Texas Tech, it reared its ugly head. And it's just like, yeah, there's that team. We thought they were over it, but there it is again. Just don't let the identity of the team be, down the stretch, not being able to get to the basket. Like, don't let that happen. Don't let this be the exception. Let this be your bad game. And then from here on out, you just get right back on track and you start making it happen.
Freshman stuff in there too that was, I think, problematic for Arkansas in half court. Dude, when they got out and ran, that was fun to watch. Dude, when Arkansas was on the run, it's good luck. It's a tough team in transition. The half court offense is going to be a work in progress. It kind of always is under Cal. Like that hasn't changed just because they made the Sweet 16 last year. Like that's an area that he's not as good at as other things. But when Arkansas would come out of a timeout and they would have a set drawn up with the final out of bounds play being the exception there, obviously. More often than not, they get the shot they're looking for and they score. Cal was talking about some no pass possessions they're late, or guys trying to do too much and not hitting an open teammate or whatever. My thing is, when you're down in the stretch of a game and you're seeing that, well, let's call a set. Like, you can dictate who gets the touch and where they get it. You know what I mean? So maybe a little bit more of that. This is such a make a play type of team. Like, you got so many guys who can create and do their own thing that you don't want to micromanage them and try to dictate that, but maybe sometimes you do. And that's a staff learning its team, and it's a team getting a little bit more comfortable. Once we get later in the year, those guys are going to be able to read off of each other. They're going to have a better understanding of second and third options, especially guys like Acuff and Leak, and they're going to be fine from that standpoint early on in a game like this. And they did it a couple times, like getting Ewan for the post ups. They ran one set where they got Leak an open three in there. So maybe a little bit more of that, and they would have had some more success, but it became a little bit of, dribble. Okay, I get cut off trying to get into the paint. I'm going to kick it out to DJ, then he's going to try. And we just keep doing that. Not a lot of movement, not a lot of screening, a little bit stagnant in there. Happens. Second game of the year.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point and a good way to put it. That it's not like Arkansas. They tried different things offensively, like you said. They had some post up here, had the dribble drive for a while. They ran a few sets late. I think that's something that you do just figure out more as the season goes along. Of like, all right, what is it that works for this team? What is it that works in these certain matchups? It's funny because normally with a freshman point guard, you would think getting sped up would be the issue. I think the issue might be, hey, we actually need to speed this sucker up more. We actually do need to get out and run a little bit more. How many times did Arkansas get wide open transition looks where they just make one outlet pass and it's like they beat them down the floor? The announcers kept talking about it where they were like, dude, Michigan State's got like their hands on their hip. Like, they're tired. I thought there was a chance Arkansas might like really ramp that tempo up in the second half and run these dudes out of the – like, I really thought that was possible, but it just didn't play out that way. I think Arkansas was kind of in a little bit of an identity crisis, like you mentioned, not really knowing when you get in that half court, what is it that we can do that works? And that's all fine and dandy, provided that you learn from it. And that's one thing that I do actually think will happen. Do I think Cal is going to reinvent the wheel and all of a sudden become this half-court maestro? No, not at all. But I do think he can find certain things that work better for this group. I think Acuff and Thomas and even DJ Wagner, some of those guys will have a better understanding of, hey, when we need a bucket, when we need a look, and we have a matchup we like, how do we get to it? I do expect them to be a little bit better there. And I ultimately do think, like, I know everybody hates the premise of put the ball in your best player's hands and let them go to work, and they think that's the only thing Cal does. With this team, that is going to be part of the formula. Like, I do think that is going to be part of their identity, and we'll see how that evolves over the course of the year.
Yeah, and I know this is just a troll, but I think it's an interesting thing here, so I wanted to pull it up. Cats by 21 says it was Michigan State's second game of the season as well. You can just use that as an excuse. Was Michigan State a finished product? It sure looks like they got a hell of a lot to work on too. I mean, keep in mind they had the home court advantage there, and they won a one possession game. It's not like Arkansas just had a complete meltdown and got their asses beat or anything like that. Nobody's a finished product right now. Kentucky's not a finished product right now. What did they score? 10 points in 15 minutes or something in their opener? They got a lot of stuff that they got to figure out. Nobody is firing on all cylinders. Some teams are going to be stronger in certain areas than others, but you evolve over the course of the season. And Cats, you know better than anybody that when you have a team that's got some really, really talented freshmen in there in environments like this early, you're going to see some things where you go, oh, yeah, they're really good. They're still freshmen. Like they got to figure out some more of the nuance and some of the team basketball. And Cal talked about that a lot during the game. These guys are going to be fine.
I would also argue, like, I don't know if anybody on this panel or even really in the fan base is making an excuse. Like, we're talking about the game, what went right, what went wrong, what are some things Arkansas can work on. I don't think that what we're doing here is being like, no, Arkansas only lost because of blah, blah, blah. Like, I think we're okay. We accept the result. We concede. Okay, yeah, Michigan State earned the game. They won. They're the better team that night. Cool, we move on. Here's how we can get better. Here's what we can take from that. I don't really know if you're thinking that we're just up here like trying to like diminish the loss. Like, I don't really think that's what's happening here.
No, not at all. Not at any stretch. But, again, it's if you're going to use an argument like that, it's always got to be the other direction, which I know wouldn't happen. But I'm like, if it's Cats by 21 or whoever, it's like, what if Arkansas would have won the game and you flipped the scores and everything? Would you have said the same thing? Like, would you have been like, well, Michigan State's is second game of the season? It's like you have a narrative and you have an agenda. So it's kind of like goes against hand in hand. But either way, we do have to talk about something else that happened during this game that went completely viral, and a lot of people are discussing, and we'll do that here in a second. But I want to remind everybody that Blue Ember Smokehouse is one of our great sponsors here on Inside Arkansas, to where that anytime that you need some great food, some great barbecue, Blue Ember Smokehouse across the state of Arkansas is the place to get it, especially at their new Rogers location, a place we were at last Wednesday. And we'll be there live at that Rogers location off Pleasant Grove Road the first Wednesday of every month. But we know Thanksgiving's around the corner, just a couple of weeks away, and you need to get prepared. You need to make sure that you have all the food that's able to feed all of your family, all of your loved ones. It's a lot of work. We get it. It's a lot of time that you have to waste. So don't waste time. Make time and get the people who know the business best when it comes to whole turkeys. They can feed 18 to 20 people if you get through Blue Ember Smokehouse for $70. That's right, 18 to 20 people. They also have whole hams that feed 18 to 20 people for $65. They have all the sides, a half pan if you want that for $35, a full pan that feeds 40 to 50 people at $60, and you have to have your orders put in by November 21st. So get it done, get after it, and your location's right there on your screen. Call any of those places and they'll be able to get you all squared away. Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, Rogers. They cater all events all year round, all for special events as well. So be sure to contact Blue Ember Smokehouse for your holiday eats this season. All right, guys, let's bring this up. The game happened and Arkansas lost, as we all know. But, there can't just be something that ends up being a simple loss, because a video was posted by a particular, Michigan State fan that went viral following the game. And, we'll just show it. And it has to do with Trevon Brazile and a certain towel.
Hey.
I got that.
I got that on video, bro. And I'm going to show both these angles because it's a different angle, just to show all angles. Here's a different one.
Look at Elmer.
Your thoughts, guys, to this Towelgate?
The first angle, it was like, damn, TV. And the second one, it looked like it might have actually been a mistake, but I know he's since gone on Instagram or whatever and issued an apology. So like he owned it. Silly. You know what I mean? It just overblown. I mean, people are calling for him to be arrested and like kicked off the team and, expelled from school. And I mean, good Lord, that is all insane to me. It's like cancel culture, whatever we can do to get a guy here. It reminds me of when Riley knocked the phone out of that kid's hand or whatever in the SEC tournament, whatever the heck it was. But at any rate, all that. And I did a longer segment than I intended to on it this morning, but at the same time, you just can't do that. He had two options, right? He could have just feigned ignorance and been like, no, it was an accident. I didn't mean for it to happen. Sorry, but that wasn't my intention. Or you can just own it and apologize and try to move on. He took that route. But my thing is, you're a fourth year senior in the program and you just had an awful game and you've been through too much and been around too long to do something like that. It's just a bad look, man. Don't like it. It looks petty. Doesn't show well for the Razorback basketball program. Cal doesn't like that stuff. Apparently Hunter Yurachek talked to the kid after the game. So I don't know if anything's going to come of it. I think it's getting overblown, but I think it's a bad look on TB's part and for Arkansas.
100% agreed. I think we're on the same page here. I for one, I definitely think like anyone who like wants something to happen here and is like, Trevon should sit out. It's like, I think that's stupid. I really like whether he meant to do it or not. I actually don't care. I mean, it's a towel that grazed the kid's head or whatever. And like, I think he's fine. It'd be one thing if Trevon like ringed it up and, you know, was like whipping him with it or whatever. Maybe that'd be different, but it's like, yeah, whether he meant to do it or not. And by the way, I do fully believe that Trevon did mean to do it. And I really don't care. It wasn't that egregious of a thing. I don't think anything should happen because of it. But you know what it reminds me of? Like when your mom tells you not to touch your brother or whatever, and you're like, I'm not touching him. I'm not touching him. I'm not touching him. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. It's like, you're not cool. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not going to get in trouble. You're not breaking any law, but you are still a child focused on the wrong crap and you're annoying. You know what I mean? And like, that's how I feel about this, where I'm like, yeah, Trevon, you didn't technically do anything that crazy. Like, it's not the end of the world. We're not going to kick you off the team or anything, but it's like, you're 23 years old, dude. Like, I don't know, maybe grow up at some point. You know, I don't know. Like, maybe just focus on you. Focus on being the best player you can be, the best teammate you can be. Focus on crap that actually matters other than getting into little shoving matches with the point guard 94 feet away from the basket, messing around with fans that are chirping at you. I just be an adult at this point, dude. That's all I want.
That's a good point, because he let them get under his skin during the game, and that contributed to some of the foul trouble there. And then apparently he was chirping back and forth with Fears and some other guys during the handshake line. And then you had this, and you know, like after that performance, after you airball that three that you shouldn't have taken, that's not the look that we need to see, man. I'm sorry. I love TB, but come on, guy.
Well, I'm going to be honest, guys. I thought it was funny, and I still think it's funny. Now, it shouldn't happen.
Hilarious.
Should not happen.
The kid's not hurt. Okay,
right.
It's funny.
It's
hey,
a towel.
The I'm not touching him bit is also pretty funny too, to be fair.
Yes. I guess that's so. I found it funny. It shouldn't happen. It's kind of like one of those things where if like, which I was guilty of this as a kid, but it's like if a kid, I'm actually going to out my nephew when he was younger. You know how he had to go home and sign report cards, and you have your parents sign them, you know, to see it. Well, he forged a signature of his father, and he was a young kid. He was probably in third, fourth grade, and he signed it "Dad" instead of his dad's name. But he was like trying to pass it off, and I'm like, that's hilarious. You shouldn't do it, but it's funny, and it's kind of the same thing. I see it here. It's a towel, and it hit him in the face, and it shouldn't be done. It shouldn't happen, but it's also funny. And I don't understand the overreaction. I know it's just kind of maybe as you said, Curtis, the society we live in, but like. You know, I remember the Carmona thing, and then after the Texas Tech game, and that was bad. Like, it should never happen. But there were people that were saying like he should be arrested and charged with assault, and it's like, wow, okay. And I saw Michigan State fans, kind of, not all of them, but some of them were just like, you know, there should be an investigation into this. I'm like, it was a towel, and it hit him in the face. Honestly. And when I was in the student section, because that's what I only talk about, student section, that's the only thing I know. But if I got hit in the face with a towel by a player from the opposing team, I wear it as a badge of honor. I'm like, I won. I got into that guy's under that skin. I affected him, and that's what I would wear it as. So it's not a big deal. Somehow, and this is my favorite thing. I texted you guys about it. My favorite thing is when tweeting about this. One, no one understood my sense of humor of no, that kid shouldn't have been standing there. Because people were like, "What, in the stands?" I was like, yeah. But two, all my mentions just turned into Kentucky fans and Michigan State fans fighting about who has a better program. So I'm like, I don't even know what to think anymore. So anyways, it was funny. Shouldn't happen. I'm glad he owned up to it. Let's move on. But the overreaction to some of this stuff just always cracks me up, because I don't know. I feel like if the roles were reversed and that happened at Arkansas, I'd like to think I'm not sitting here and be like, justice needs to be served. I think it'd just be like, shouldn't happen. What a tool. Move on.
It wound up not being a huge deal. I said on the show this morning, like, if it was me, this would be we solved it internally. Mm-hmm. And if we were doing shoot around at Bud Walton today, I just have Trevon running every step in that arena. Like, hey, you can't do that. We're going to condition you, and you're going to know that that's not okay. And then we move on. Like, I hope it is just left at that. The reason I'm worried about it is because now, like, the kid is getting interviewed by all these Michigan State outlets, and he's talking about that the Arkansas AD came up and talked to him. I'm just like, good Lord, what are we doing here? But the only thing about it is and I want to pull up Quinn's super chat here. He said, if an opposing player ever tried that on me, I'd be throwing hands. One, I would pay more to watch Quinn and Trevon Brazile throw hands than I would for some of the ticket prices that we've got at Bud Walton Arena. So there's that. But two, there is something to this. Like that's you cannot make contact with a fan in the stands under any circumstance. You don't want malice at the palace part two, but think about it. Those kids are sauced up. They're drinking. They're fired up. They've got the adrenaline going. You got athletes who are coming off of a game like this where you lose and you're irritated. Emotions are running high, and if that happens to the wrong person at the wrong place and somebody's going over the rail, and then you have a brawl and something really, really nasty. And no, it didn't happen this time, but that's why you just can't do that with a towel or anything else. And we'll see what comes out of it. But we're fortunate that it was just a stupid viral TikTok where the kid ate the towel and Malik Ewan tried to grab it the first, then he tried to grab the entire game, and then you just kind of move on.
Yeah, I like that. You know what I would do if I was Cal? I would bring in a representative from LinkedIn, and I would have him do a 5-minute meeting with Trevon at Monday's practice. Tuesday's practice, I'd have ZipRecruiter. I'd have him come out, lay out all these options. Hey, man, here's some career options for you. I can get you hooked up with a guy at JB Hunt. I can get you hooked up with a guy at State Farm. Here's some options for you. I'd bring in a guy from the Navy, a guy from the National Guard, make him take the ASVAB. I'd just be like, hey, man, these are your options. If this is the way you want to play your career, here are some of your options that we can look at. We can help you go pro in something other than sports if you want to be like this.
Well, I know we'll get to your chats, but just also, since we're talking about, wanted to bring this up real quick from Hickory High. Says U of A is really missing a marketing opportunity, not coming out with a TB7 rally towel. If y'all at the U of A had some stones, had some acorns on you, you would do it. I'd do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat, because it shouldn't happen. But it was just something that was kind of funny, especially because it knocked his little hoop hat off, which that's the funniest hat to get knocked off of you. Like anytime a hat gets knocked, it's always like, oh, but it was a little basketball net. He's like, oh, like made it look even worse. So that made it even better.
I might hit somebody in the trough with a towel to get those Burger King hats off of them. But
yeah, seriously.
I thought the flip side of it, yes, it is a good marketing opportunity. If they would do that, it'd be funny. But everywhere Arkansas goes now on the road, they're going to have those towels out.
Yep.
Heckling Trevon. And Trevon, boo that guy, but boo that guy wherever, it's going to be Trevon. Because now the jury's out in the student sections. Like, you can get under this dude's skin and impact him. So he's going to have to be ready for that, man, because everywhere they go, he's going to get the business now.
Yeah, it's just really frustrating, but it's part of it. So we'll get to your chats, folks, but want to remind everybody here on the show today that we're presented by our friends over at Hickey and Hull Law for any of your legal advice. Who knows? I mean, if Trevon Brazile is going to get charged with assault, you may have to hit up Hickey and Hull Law, to have the right representation, be able to help them out, because they do handle criminal cases. They do handle divorce and custody cases, civil litigation cases, personal injury, estate planning. They do it all. And it's tough to go through any of these things by yourself. And that's why you don't need to do that. Have pros help you. Have the people here in Arkansas, the people that will make sure that they build that relationship with you and being with you every single step of the way. Do it with Hickey and Hull Law. And you can call them today, as they have offices across the state of Arkansas at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out the website at hickeyandhull.com. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. All right. Get to your chats, folks. Appreciate it. Super chats, of course, we'll get into it first off. But just another one from Quinn says, I told Curtis I take the blame. I predicted an Arkansas win. Won't do it again. Thanks, Quinn. Appreciate you.
I did too. Did we all predict Arkansas to win yeah.
Except for Dudley. Dudley didn't.
Okay.
So.
Well, Dudley's got some sense about him,
Yeah.
That's a tough place to go get one early. I was too bullish on this team too early. But I'll do the thing. Play a game on a neutral and Arkansas wins. We'll see you in March, and things will be different. Sure. Yeah. Whatever.
I was gonna make fun of Dudley if Arkansas had won, just because he's on those pain pills after surgery, and that's why that was his makeup. So, but Dudley's doing good, by the way. I know we didn't have a recruiting update or podcast this morning, but he'll be back here in the next few days. So just be on the lookout for that. But appreciate him. Let's see. Joffre says this team will be awesome come January. Trust.
I think so. I'll tell you what I'm encouraged by, and I mentioned the Fayetteville fade this morning, which it's just going to happen. There will come a point where we start feeling like this Michigan State loss was way worse than it actually was. It's crazy how that works. And you see some of it with the AP poll, and I saw some different people is like, release their top 25 and Arkansas is not in it. It's like, good Lord, like why even play the game if you lose by 3 and this happens? But I've been kind of impressed by some of the things that I've listened to. The Ion College Basketball podcast guys, they talked more about Arkansas than Michigan State after the game. And they were both like, no, I think Cal's got something here. Like, I like the mix of this team. They look really good. There is Gary Parrish even said there is no scenario you could lay out for a ceiling for this Arkansas team that I would say is too high. I was like, damn, that's actually good stuff coming from y'all. Even Jeff Goodman and the Field of 68 guys are like, yeah, they caught him at the right time. Arkansas is going to be real good. I'm glad that people see that, because they didn't after this game against Baylor last year in the second game of the year. It was like, oh, these dudes got a lot to figure out. Yeah, not a finished product. Made some mistakes, got some stuff you got to figure out, but people are still pretty excited about the prospects of this team. That makes me feel better.
That is pretty cool. I would also say this is another one of those times where we get to set the expectation and we get to set the rules now, and you can't go back on them. If you are of the belief that Saturday was a huge red flag and you can't win with freshman guards and yada, 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 well, then if Arkansas turns everything around, goes to the Elite Eight, lives up to all that potential, you would then have to concede that Cal had a tremendous coaching job and that, he turned things around. They figured things out. He made adjustments, did all the things that you guys say he couldn't do. Or you could just agree right now that Arkansas is going to be really good. And then when they are really good, you can say, well, Cal only won because they were really good. He has a really good team and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it's kind of a choose your own adventure kind of thing. You can go with the idea that Saturday is proof that Arkansas sucks, but then if Arkansas turns out to not suck, you do have to live with that.
Yeah. And also to your point, Curtis, about like hearing these people say these things, I'm kind of like, wait, what's going on? Why are y'all doing this? It's like, I don't like this. I don't like, yeah. When I heard Jeff Goodman saying positive things, I'm like, no, I don't like that. Like, what is this? So, maybe it's just like maybe that's what they're doing is reverse psychology. They're trying to hype up Arkansas so that way they can continue to lose, just whatever it takes. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Josh, missed your super chat, but he said most Arkansas thing ever would be for us to whiff on Golish or for them or UTSA to hire Bobby and we get another, this was our guy whole time hire.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I know that like Hog fans seem to believe that Bobby Petrino is like a very sought after coach that like everyone's gunning for. That is just not reflected in like any form of reality of the world we live in. Like, I just don't think there is a single school, maybe a group of 5 here and there, but like even UTSA would not like trade Jeff Traylor for Bobby Petrino, USF would not trade Alex Golish for Bobby Petrino. So it's like Bobby could maybe get another like head coaching job. It would be of like a 2-10 group of 5 team. It would not be like, there's not other schools that we need to be worried about that are going to take Bobby. I promise you.
Yeah. As I said, I feel the same way. And I don't know if like whiffing on Golish, it's like, well, I don't know how much you're like after Golish right now anyways. So
yeah. I was going to say like, now let's actually, now we don't have to have this conversation. Do you think it's possible? Because John, you did some scooping today. Do you think it's possible that Arkansas whiffs on Golish? I feel like Golish kind of is the backup option. Who would Golish turn Arkansas down for?
See, yeah, that would be my thing is I don't know if it's a whiff because I do believe
maybe he just says I'll stay at USF and take my chances. But like who would Golish turn Arkansas down that is also going to hire him?
I mean, I'm trying to think of just all the jobs that are opening up because he's not going to go to LSU, and I don't think Auburn would be that interested in him. I think they're all Summerall. I don't think he's going to Florida.
It would be a domino.
Yeah, I think I agree.
If anybody, it would be a domino. Yeah, like some other sitting coach leaves to take one of these openings, and then that one's more enticing. I don't know who that would be, but
yeah,
like
because I'm with you right now. I don't know that there really would be anyone, right?
Yeah, like Lane Kiffin goes from Ole Miss to LSU or something, and then Golish goes to Ole Miss or something like that. Like that would suck. That'd be terrible. So let's just hope that doesn't happen and get to that point. Let's see a few more chats here. Some of y'all are just, I don't understand you sometimes. Let's see. Seth says, Curtis, what's causing Ewan's rebounding woes? Is it just effort, positioning, bad box out, bad bounces?
Yes, no. He's got to give more effort, man. I'm sorry. Cause it's some guys are just more casual. Like Malik Thomas and Nick Pringle. They just wear every emotion on their sleeve. You can just tell they're balls to the wall at all times out there. Darius Acuff is just that he's more calm and cool and collected. And sometimes it looks like he's not even breaking a sweat, but he's working his butt off in there. Malik Ewan, he looks like he's not giving max effort. And I don't know. Like, I don't want to accuse anybody of anything unless I know for sure. But, when balls are coming off of the rim and he's 3 feet away from it and he doesn't take a step to go get it, and that happens over and over and over, you start to wonder, man. So, yes, he can make a much more assertive effort at tracking down rebounds. And it's not like he hasn't done it before. He had a stretch of 5 straight double-doubles in the ACC last year. And he had 9 overall. And a lot of people do the thing where it's, well, this is the SEC. You haven't played an SEC team yet. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason why he shouldn't be grabbing rebounds against these guys. I said it this morning. I'll say it again. 60 minutes of basketball, he's grabbed 1 defensive rebound. If I played the same 60 minutes of basketball, I promise you, I guarantee you that I would grab 1 defensive rebound. I promise you. There's no reason for this. There's no reason why Malik Thomas should have like 3,000% more rebounds than Malik Ewan right now. That's crazy to me. He's too talented for this right now. And yeah, it's very, very early, but you don't want this to become a thing. You don't want to fall out of favor. You don't want to fall out of the rotation or the pecking order here. He's got to figure it out. These next 4 games are bigger for Malik Ewan, in my opinion, than anybody else on this roster, because he's got to start to establish himself and get himself going. You got to be able to rebound it, dude. And when you've done it in a high major conference, there's just no excuse for you to not rebound at all here. It's crazy to me.
One of the things I think I've noticed, so we've talked about Malik Ewan being a guy that's coming from being a top player on a bad team to now being a role player on a good team, which is a very different thing. And when you're a good player on a bad team, that's a very easy way to pick up a lot of bad habits, which you can see a lot of those bad habits. Because Malik Ewan last year played over 26 minutes a game. His minutes were never in question. He never went into games thinking, oh, I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to stay on the floor. He was going to be on the floor no matter what. And so, by the way, he averaged whatever it was, 6 or 7 rebounds a game. When you play 26, 27 minutes a game, the ball's going to find you every now and then. And you can kind of afford to slack off on one box out and grab a rebound on another. Like, those are things you can do. When you're coming into a situation and your minutes are determined by what you do right now, you cannot have that same type of lackadaisical attitude. Like, you have to earn every rebound you get. You have to go out there playing with that, because you literally might not play in the second half. And that's what I think he needs to understand. Is I've seen a lot of people doing the thing of like, what are we going to do about this Malik Ewan thing? I'm like, it's entirely possible he just doesn't play much for this team. Not that he's not going to be in the rotation, not that he's going to just be DNP coach's decision all the time. It's like, it is possible this is a guy that only plays 8 or 9 minutes a game for Arkansas. I mean, he played 15 on Saturday. And that felt like too much, and that only happened because TB was banged, or TB was in foul trouble. It is possible Malik Ewan is just not a guy that plays a ton for Arkansas. And I hope he realizes that and understands that, and it can be fixed very easily.
And if that's the case, then I lower Arkansas' ceiling immediately, because then you've got some serious issues in that front court. He doesn't have to be your star, but if it gets to the point like you're talking about where you got to be really careful about how much and when and where you play him, that's a problem for the Hogs, because they already made the conscious decision to just assume Trevon Brazile would never get in foul trouble and not get a backup 4. And Nick Pringle was supposed to be your insurance policy. Thank God he's been better than advertised, but that could be something that's problematic. If you're looking for something to actually be concerned about, it's that. So hopefully he figures it out here soon.
Also, sorry to Bo if I missed your super chat, my man. But he just says Carter in transition hurt to watch.
It probably hurt him too. He kept falling down, bro.
Them shoes are slippery, bro.
Man,
that was crazy, man.
Yeah, I felt bad for him in a way. Like, he's gonna be fine, but it was just kind of like, it's really hopeful. It was like, oh man, first game back, or at least first real game back, and kind of make an impression. And just kind of, he struggled. I mean, no ifs, ands, buts about it. He struggled. So let's see. Also, WMF Peg. Curtis, are you concerned about our out-of-bounds defense? I've seen many times opponents running out an out-of-bounds play and people are wide open in the lane for an easy bucket.
I don't know if I'm concerned. It is an issue. I'll say that. They've been getting burned on baseline inbounds way too often. And a theme that I've noticed here, with 2 things, Freshman and Carter. every time I see Arkansas getting burned on a baseline inbounds, it's either the freshman or Carter. It's communication stuff. And I kind of go back to how I felt about the offense, that those guys are going to figure those things out. A lot of Arkansas's, troubles on the defensive end, if you even want to call it that, because Andrew, you laid out the stats well a while ago. It's not like they stunk on defense. You would look up and it would be somebody else pointing at one of the freshmen with their hands up. Like, what are you doing? Those are the things that they got to get figured out there. And that's been a culprit for them. I would say pretty often with the baseline out of bounds. And I saw some people saying, should Arkansas run more zone? One, no, because they've been actually really, really good man to man. Like it's not like they're having troubles defensively where they're giving up just a ton of points, getting torched, can't keep anybody in front of them off the bounce. We got to go to zone. I don't think I see that just yet, but going zone means you got to communicate even better. Like the whole team defense concept becomes so much more important if you do that. And that's kind of what they're struggling with right now, is some of the communication and helping each other and being on a string. So I don't know if I would go that route either, personally.
It's crazy that Curtis just knows ball, man. just understands the game of basketball, man. It's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. That's all.
Well, Joffre also follows up with a super chat saying, I think you need Ewan's post-up game, though, but he doesn't get touches. I get if you rebound and play D, you will get rewarded with touches, but still.
All those things are true, actually. As I was reading the beginning of that, I was going to say, well, if he was given more effort, defensively and on the boards, they would probably feed him a little bit more on the other end. So you are right about that. They did run a couple post-up plays for him against Michigan State, and he scored on one of them. But is that his best spot, though? Like, you can give it to him, but he's not really a back-to-the-basket guy. Like, I don't know why he's not getting high post touches at the elbow that we saw him working on so much in pro day and, in like prime time at the Palace. They were just facilitating everything through him at the elbow, where he can turn and face and he can attack guys. He can pass really well from there. And we've seen literally none of that, which kind of surprised me a little bit, because I think he's better there. Facing up from the short corner, you can give it to him back to the basket and he's fine. But him getting to his spots would be maybe a little bit more ideal. He could also help himself more, because it's not just defensive rebounding. Like, if you want to score as a pick and roll guy, as a short roller, get your butt out there and actually set a ball screen. And then you're going to be amazed at how much easier your life is. And he's just kind of casually jogging out there, not making contact, lazy rolling. I wouldn't throw him the damn ball either, personally.
Yeah, if you're a bad defender, a bad rebounder, and you're not a shooter, as a big man, you better have a post-up game, you better have a face-up game, you better be able to like do some things, be a better screener. Because that's another thing. Like, if you want to play in the NBA, watch an NBA game. There's 175 pick and rolls every single game. So it's like, if you're a 6'10" guy, it's like you should really be thinking like, hey, how can I be the most effective of setting, rolling, picking, popping, whatever. I don't think many teams are going to zone Arkansas. We saw it happen here and there last year, especially down the stretch. I don't think it's going to happen much, honestly, because I don't think they're going to go 7 for 28 from 3 most games. But when teams do zone Arkansas, Malik Ewan is the guy I want in the middle of that, like right at the free throw line. Yeah. That's where I think he can do a lot of damage and might actually be something that Arkansas needs. Right now, I don't care what Malik Ewan needs to get going. I don't care what he wants to get going. I don't care where he wants the ball. It's a chicken or egg thing. It's like, you give him the ball so he'll play good defense. How about you play good defense and we'll maybe give you the ball?
We'll continue to get to your chats here on the show, folks. But I want to remind everybody that Goat Lab Red is the place to go for all of your pregame, during the game, post-game action. It's their new location right there in Fayetteville at 1214 North Garland Avenue. Normally we have a recruiting update. Like I said, Dudley's still recovering from his surgery. Wish him all nothing but the best. But if you ever need a great place to go and check it out when it comes to having some of the signature burgers, some of the great brews that they have, it's always about Goat Lab Red. And don't forget Goat Lab Brewery up in Lowell, because they always have it going on there with their location, but also the Grove Comedy Club being right next to it. And you got some great shows that are coming up at the Grove Comedy Club, and they have tickets on sale right now for D.L. Hewley. So if you want to go and see him, that's going to be happening later this November, this month, and tickets are on sale, and you need to go check it out and see all the different comedians that come in, some of the big names of all comedy. ends up coming down there, and they've had some great shows previously too. So be sure to check it out there as well. And don't forget, if you need a great place to watch basketball games, where the Razorbacks are on the road, or maybe a little pregame action, they're still doing progressive wing deals on Saturdays of Razorback basketball games. So be sure to check it out at Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville. All right, so a few chats here too, and then I'm going to hop off because I have to go get a thing called a passport, and then Curtis and Andrew are going to take over, which I know everyone's going to be thrilled about. But leave the student section questions for me. Let's see. Quinn says in a super chat as well, he says, Curtis, did you see my message about doing a film breakdown the day after a game? I think that would be very cool. I would watch.
Dude, I would honestly, I would absolutely love to be able to do more stuff like that. We've got a fella over here named War Machine who pulls all the cool highlights from Razorback wins and everything. And I saw a tweet that was put out from that account today saying, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do this anymore. Like it might just be an old games account because Disney and ESPN and Fox and everybody, they hit you with copyright strikes so quick if you're pulling from their broadcasts, highlights, whatever. And you either kind of have to buy media rights to be able to use that stuff, or you got to pay a bunch of money to get a Synergy account to where you have the raw film and everything. I would love to do it, but we would get hit with a strike for it. And that's why we don't do it more than we do. And maybe that changes. Maybe we get into a position one day where I can get the Synergy thing. It's pricey because it is something I would absolutely love to do. Like I nerd out over that stuff. I think it would be awesome. But I don't want to cost our YouTube channel and I don't want to get us in trouble. And it just sucks that people are getting so finicky about all that. Like occasionally we'll be able to sneak in highlights and things like that here and there, but you got to be real careful about it. If you're showing anything extended and it's got like their logo or their score bug or anything on it, they're going to bust your ass for it.
Yeah, it's very fair of them to do. Totally.
Drives me nuts,
just,
man.
As soon as we partner with War Machine, isn't that great? And then it always happens that way. Yeah, I had to. And shout out to Peyton, our guy Peyton from Blue Ember. Appreciate Super Chases. Malik feels like Jalen Graham. I know it's early.
Call me crazy. Jalen Graham has a better scoring arsenal than Malik Ewan. And I know Malik Ewan is a very good scorer at Florida State. I actually think Jalen Graham, like, you want to talk about a guy that could really post up. Jalen Graham really was a guy that you could post up like 6 or 7 times a game and like get, return on your investment. I think Ewan's very skilled offensively. I actually would lean. I think Jalen Graham, by the time he left Arkansas, was more effective.
Well, Malik Ewan's been here for 2 games. So like, I'll reserve the judgment on that. But he does, like, back to the basket, there's no question. There is no question that Jalen Graham is who has a deeper bag than him. That's the one thing he had.
In terms of just straight up post work. I'm not saying he's a better player. I'm not saying he's a better, like offense, but I just think like straight up actual post game, Jalen Graham had that. I don't know if Malik Ewan really has a true post game.
With the way Arkansas is trying to use Ewan right now, you would rather have Graham in that spot for sure. Graham's a better passer, or excuse me, Ewan's a better passer, and he can do some more stuff out there on the perimeter. I think he could be an overall more effective player, but yeah, I mean, we're not seeing that right now. And it sucks because the ceiling for Malik Ewan is an all SEC type of player. The floor is just Jalen Graham. Like you can score it and you can't grab a rebound or defend. I would hope that he would at least find a middle ground, and then we're fine.
I just need a Malik Ewan like 28-point game or whatever it was that Jalen Graham had that one time. Yeah, I would totally take it. So, all right, I'm off like a prom dress, guys. So keep the ball rolling here on the show, and we'll make it work. So enjoy the rest of the chats, everybody. We'll see you then. So you guys don't have too much fun without me. We'll see you.
That was wild.
Yeah, John, once we got to the chat, John was like, "I got to get out of here. I hate the chat."
Yeah.
As much as I get accused of hating the chat, John really does hate the chat.
That's crazy. It's that time of the show. All right, see you guys. I'm out. Okay, I'm just seeing if we have more. We got one more super chat here from Quinn. He says, "How much is it? Just inquiring might be able to help with getting a Synergy account. It's a lot.
I mean, someone said 160 a month, something like that. 140, 160 a month.
Is that right? I have to go back and look. I know when I was coaching NAI basketball, we couldn't afford it with our budget. And it's probably way more involved now than it was then. So I have to go check on it. And we appreciate you, man. It would be really cool to do. We'd have a lot of fun with that.
Well, what's crazy is like, it'd be good for like the film and stuff. But like, I would love just looking at the numbers of just like, hey, what's Carter Knox doing on spot ups in the corner? What's What's Malik Thomas whenever it's a dribble handoff? What do we got? Because the synergy is very good about breaking down the levels of the court, type of actions, and all that. Great stuff.
It's getting me going thinking about this. We'll see what happens. Okay, back to some other chats here. We got Joe Anderson. He says Duke on a neutral floor is going to be easier than Michigan State on the road. What do you think about this, Andrew? Because on one hand, like the atmosphere will be different. I thought Arkansas handled the crowd well. Did you ever feel like there was a time where Arkansas was rattled by the crowd? I never really got that
very early, but I didn't think that was necessarily what was going on.
So from that standpoint, I think I agree. I just think Duke is quite a bit better than Michigan State, and we'll see what it looks like when we get to that point. Dude, if Trevon gets 2 early fouls against Duke, Cam Boozer might get 30 rebounds in that game. Like there's some things there that I worry about. Arkansas is going to be a lot better by that point, and so is Duke. That's going to be a hell of a fun game, but environment on environment, sure, I would agree.
This game comes down to how good do you think Duke is versus how good do you think Michigan State is. I do think Michigan State's good, and I think they're better than I gave them credit for. I still think Duke is a lot better, and so that's why, and I agree with this assessment here from Great GZM, Duke can actually score. And so your margin for error is a lot lower against Duke. I mean, as bad as Saturday was and as bad as Arkansas played and as the foul trouble, the shooting, the rebounding, the paint points, the everything, Arkansas had 20 opportunities down the stretch to win that game. If Arkansas plays anywhere close to the level of game they just played Saturday against Duke, they will lose by like 16. Like they would comfortably lose that game because Duke would not make 1-3. And so, and then it would not be some freshman forward that like is, just scrappy. It would be one of the best freshmen in the country busting your ass. I would lean towards Duke being a significantly harder game, even though it's neutral. But yeah, I don't know. I see the argument for Michigan State though, at least.
For sure. Heartbroken Hog. Oh, football stuff. What the heck? Would be the funniest thing ever if the Giants swoop in and hire Lane out from under LSU and Florida. Who was the has he already been connected to another NFL job that's not even open yet or something?
Maybe. I haven't paid much attention to the NFL stuff. The Dolphins, weirdly enough, I don't think are firing their coach, although it did seem early in the year like they were going to, and a lot of people had Mike McDaniel, their coach, as like a guy of like, oh, maybe he'll be a candidate somewhere. They fired the GM, and I think the coach is going to survive. Sarkisian's another one that I think is interesting. What's funny is the guy that the Giants just fired, Brian Dable, former OC at Alabama, who was a great play caller. They hired him hoping he could get the best out of their young quarterbacks and stuff. Would you really fire Brian Dable to hire Steve Sarkisian, another former Alabama OC who you'd be hiring, hoping he can get the best out of your young quarterback, or Lane Kiffin, a former OC at Alabama who you're hoping can get the most out of your young quarterback? And so it is interesting. I always think that's when teams fire a guy that fits a certain criteria, they don't usually hire a guy that fits that exact criteria. I know Kiffin and Dable are a little bit different, but I'd imagine they're going to go a complete – they would probably hire that Chargers defensive coordinator that everybody loves before they hired Lane Kiffin probably.
Right. Let's see here. Razorback Fever said, did our guy scout Fears? He's a flopping machine. Well, he didn't make a shot from the field. Fears didn't. So I guess they had a pretty good handle on how to defend him. They turned him over 3 times. He did have 9 assists. But yeah, the flopping stuff, how exactly do you defend that? I mean, that's tough. Now, Darius Acuff, in that situation, your matchup hasn't made a shot from the field the entire game. Michigan State's made 1-3. You've defended your asses off for 28 seconds. Like, you can't leave your feet there. You just can't. Contest it, get a hand in his face. If he makes it, oh well. That's tough. That's a freshman thing for sure. But yeah, he got Trevon. He baited him right into it for that 3rd foul, and he got I say he got Leak, but he flopped one on Leak in transition where he like tripped over his own feet and wound up just flailing his arms, and they whistled one on Leak. That's tough. I don't know how you just run away from him, and get nowhere near him. Otherwise, I don't know how you prepare for that. It's tricky, man, for sure. Very frustrating. I know.
It is also frustrating that the biggest foul of the game, which was that Acuff one, honestly wasn't even that crazy of a flop job. Like, I know he did, of course he sold it a little bit, but it's like that one came just because Acuff was literally in the air with his feet. His knee was at Fears' forehead. It's like that was going to be a foul no matter what Fears did. And like you said, you kind of just have to be able to live with that look. I mean, you play defense. Your goal on defense is for your opponent to take a very contested look that they don't want to take. That was what was happening, and it ended up being 3 free throws, man. It's just brutal with 1 second on the shot clock. Oh, that's going to keep me up at night for a while.
What keeps me up about it is that he also gave you one. So it wound up still being a 1-possession game after all that, and, things happen. Jafra in here says, Curtis, I think Acuff and Leak are going to learn to be selfless when needed at the end of games. Even Cal talked about it, so I'd like to think they're learning as much as possible right now. Yeah, absolutely. I hope I didn't come across as thinking otherwise. No, those guys are very much going to get better. And I don't think they've been selfish players at all. When Cal was talking about losing yourself within the team, I think it was more of, what have those guys done their entire careers? They take the shot. They make the play. You know what I mean? And I have no problem with them doing that. And neither did Cal. Is it extra pass, open man type stuff? Maybe so, but no, I'm not worried about that. I've got the stats pulled up right now, and Malik Thomas has 9 assists through 2 games, and Darius Acuff has 10. And DJ has 10. Yeah, so they're 2 of your top 3 assist guys there. Like I don't think they have an issue from that standpoint. But I mean, you think about it, and Acuff, he had the downhill drive there with a little over a minute left. Probably could have given that one up. Like, you didn't have any passes in that possession. That's the kind of stuff that Cal's talking about. I didn't really have a problem with the 3 that he took. I didn't have a problem with the 3 that Leak took. It's one of those things where you didn't make the shot. So,
I'm with you that like a lot of the possessions down the stretch, and those freshmen will play a lot better. I thought a lot of the missed opportunities or the things that didn't go well for Arkansas, even that one where like Malik, he misses the open 3 at the top of the key, gets the rebound, and then ends up kind of driving and kind of being in between. I think he ended up just throwing up a weird floater or maybe turning it over. I don't know. Even that, like that's a mistake. That's a bad play for Arkansas. I don't think that happened for any certain reason. I think that's just a good shooter missed a shot, and then, he drives and kind of couldn't make the decision. He'll learn from that, grow from that. And I think like the Acuff missed 3 late that I thought was a good look. I'm fine with that look. Malik Thomas, I think he went 2 of 9 from 3. I didn't, all the 3s he took, I was perfectly fine with. Like I would ask him to take them again, and I think he'll make more of them later. But I didn't think it was like a conceptual flawed premise that Arkansas was working with. I actually thought the freshmen, like, I was kind of perfectly fine with their performance, all things considered. Like on both ends of the floor too. Like they will play better in certain games, but I didn't think they were like playing poorly because they have a weird chemistry thing or because they're selfish or because they're not ready for the moment. I just think they didn't make some shots that they probably will make at different times in the year.
Yeah, I tell you what, Cal in the post game, he was talking about some of that and just finding your teammates or whatever. And he made an example. He was just speaking randomly, but he was like, hey, DJ Wagner is open. Throw him that ball. And you might say, well, I'm a better shooter than DJ, but you got to trust your teammates. And I was thinking the whole time he was saying that, like, I saw DJ get those final shots last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe don't. I don't know. But I have zero problem at all with Acuff or Leak taking the shots there at the end. Maybe you can create a better one, but they'll be okay for sure. That's something that's going to evolve, no doubt about it. Let's see. What else do we have here? Quinn says, I don't know if y'all saw my latest message about our coaching search. Just some interesting nuggets or info. I feel like the only thing I saw was about Drink.
Yeah, it was
there.
like he says Drinkwitz and what's the Dillingham are still the top guys on his radar. I think Drink is probably more realistic, but I don't know how realistic Drink is, frankly. I know that, like, I'm not saying Auburn's not a good job. They're not a great program. I'm not saying Auburn sucks. I just don't think it's super realistic that Drink would leave the situation he's in right now, which is a very low risk, high reward situation, and go to an Auburn situation, which is high reward potentially. He could, compete for a national title. I think there's a lot of risk in Drinkwitz leaving Missouri to Auburn. I don't think he's going to take a risk like that. I think if he were going to move, it would be to somewhere like Penn State where maybe you don't have to face as tough a competition. I bet Auburn ends up in, and I think Quinn has also been on this, I think Auburn ends up with Summerall. It just seems like kind of a match made in heaven. Get the most average coach you can. That's
why I feel like they won't get him, because he's just been the name that has been attached to it the entire time. It's just my it's never the first guy theory, but right. It almost makes too much sense for him not to do it. I'm kind of with you on that one. Brent Key, I saw that he mentioned in there. I think that's an interesting one. I know he's at his alma mater, but I don't know if he's from Alabama or if he coached for all. There's some kind of connection there, and it's just that is a substantial upgrade from Georgia Tech. So that could be interesting. I'm fascinated to see who Auburn hires, because in ways they're operating in the same ballpark as Arkansas is for their position. And then they could also be a team that plucks one of those dominoes that could impact what Arkansas does if you wind up not getting Franklin here in the end, and you have to get into that next tier of guys.
It's very interesting. Like, I know that historically speaking, football coaches and really coaches in general are nomadic. They like to move around. These guys that are super driven, super motivated, they're always looking for the next task, next challenge. Historically, we can always talk ourselves into why a coach would leave his current job to go take another one. And I think in this current era of NIL, where everything is kind of up in the air, you would think that every coach is like dying to leave and go do whatever. You got to think about it, dude. If you're a college football coach at an institution, there are so many things, like so many variables that determine your success. I would not want to change those variables if I could, unless those variables are going to be clearly upgraded for the possible. So it's like if you're going to go somewhere like Tulane, like John Summerall, of course, he'll go from Tulane to a better job. And I'm sure there will be some guys that take lateral jobs here and there, but like Lane Kiffin, I think we all think it's a foregone conclusion he leaves Ole Miss. Is it? You know what I mean? Like, he's got a pretty good setup at Ole Miss. They're rolling. They're going to make the playoff. Obviously, I think there's a higher ceiling at LSU in Florida, but it's like you'd kind of have to like start from scratch on getting your NIL in place, getting your recruiting, base set up, getting your staff in place. Like, that's a lot of work. And I don't know if all these coaches are dying to do that work necessarily.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I see you saying here that Mizzou media thinks that Drink would take the job. I can confirm that the folks that cover Mizzou, it's almost like they're bracing for a coaching search. Like I think they just very much feel like Drink is out of there. Interesting to me, because it seems like he's got a pretty cushy situation. Maybe you feel like he's maxed out, or his opportunity to do something cool there has passed. I don't know, but it does seem like that's the vibe over there. And so then I go back to what we talked about last week, is if Mizzou opens, where is that job on the totem pole of the coaching carousel with Arkansas? And would they be in conversations for the same candidates? Like, would Mizzou look at a James Franklin and be like, hey, this is something we should do here? Or would they look at, taking the similar route that they did with Drink, of an Alex Golish or anybody else? That is one of those dominoes that I think could make things even more interesting for Arkansas. And yeah, if Arkansas all of a sudden has the most money of any school in the country, like people were talking about, then it won't matter. I don't know if I'm there yet with that thought process.
You're not quite buying that Walmart, Tyson, Hunt, and Dillard's and all of them, they've combined to give Arkansas $100 million annually. You don't agree?
I'm just gonna need to see it I need to see it spent before I believe it. I would love to be on board with that, but that seems like a hell of a turn from where things have been. There's no doubt in my mind that it's improved. Arkansas is going to be able to be in a better position with, financially, all across the board. But some of the things out there that they're just going from 0 to 100 so quick, I hope so, man. But color me skeptical. Let's see. What else do we have in here? Feel free to pull up anything that you want to, by the way, Andrew. I know we're just we're winging it with the folks in here. We're men of the people. So
I always feel like early in the show, I see so many chats that are relevant that I want to talk about. And then the conversation moves, and then I lose track of time and I kind of forget some of this. I'm going to scroll through the start to see if I saw any. I thought there was this one that I did appreciate, which was that Ewan gave more effort. Net bringing up your comment on Pot of the Palace, that Ewan gave more effort on the towel gate than he did on the boards, which is hilarious.
He jumped. He was fully extended, met the towel at its peak, and he made a concerted effort to grab it with both hands. I mean, what else could you ask for besides him to do that with a basketball?
Yeah. I like that. I want you to touch on this one for a second, Curtis. The Ken Palm Whisperer from Tyson says, why does Kenny Payne's on-bench body language piss me off so much? He's a good coach that literally does zero coaching during games. Maybe it's because he's been the highest paid assistant in college basketball for 15 years. Thoughts?
I have never thought about Kenny Payne's bench demeanor. Now that you said it, I'm going to look. I'm legitimately going to look and watch this a little bit against UCA and see. I mean, I don't know who the Ken Palm Whisperer is. Like Kentucky fans who listen to this show or whatever, or if there are any Louisville folks, they would know better about
high possibility of a Kentucky fan.
They would know better about Kenny Payne's demeanor, but he's never struck me as a super demonstrative, overly emotional guy.
Maybe that's what it is the fact that he looks, because that's one thing. When he said Kenny Payne's body language, in my brain, Kenny Payne snoozing is what that's what I kind of, because I notice Kenny Payne every now and then, like you said, not super like expressive, emotional. I usually kind of feel like Kenny Payne's just like, can't wait to get home and get in bed. I don't know if Arkansas is getting their ROI there on whatever his salary is, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I mean, he's allegedly the big man whisperer, so I will be interested to see what he whispers into Malik Ewan's ear after Saturday. You get him going a little bit. If you turn Malik Ewan into what we hoped he would be, then I'll be happy. If he can turn Elmer Zafich into a playable, 9th or 10th man on a team, then that'll be cool. If he can take this red shirtish year for Palo Samito and have him ready to contribute in the rotation next year, those are the things that I'm looking for. I don't know how much coaching he does in game, and Chin Coleman's the hype man, right? Like he's the one up and clapping and yelling and screaming at guys. He's the voice that you hear over there. That is interesting with Kenny. It's going to be at the top of my list of notes, man, at this game tomorrow where hundreds of fans will be in attendance, that we'll be able to check on Kenny Payne's body language. Oh man. I think I saw a couple super chats pop up. Yeah, Quinn, we appreciate it. He says Durkin and Sumrall are the two favorites. I got to be honest with you, Quinn. In fact, you tell me how you feel about that. Read what you just typed, and then you tell me how you feel about the future of Auburn football. Quinn and you.
I was going to say, I read it and I'm like, whew, that would be quite the relief if Auburn wound up hiring one of those two gentlemen.
Like you could do worse, obviously, but
like Durkin's clearly like he's doing a solid job. It goes back to the Bobby thing, because we had a couple chats today that, not a ton. I'm not saying this was the narrative of the chat, but a couple that came in and were like, hey, are we sure Bobby's not the guy? Because it's like when you don't win any games as the interim, it's really hard for you to be the guy. And whether you entered with as the favorite to win the job, or you entered as a long shot, either one, if you don't win games as the interim, it just is hard to promote that guy. I don't know if there's ever been an example of that happening in any level of sport. So of course Durkin is going to have to, if he wins 2 or 3 games, okay, then it's a little bit of a different conversation. Personally, as a Razorback fan, Auburn hiring DJ Durkin would be absolute dream scenario. We would throw a parade in Fayetteville. And I think Sumrall, I wouldn't throw a parade. I would secretly be happy because I hate John Sumrall and I think he sucks. But I wouldn't he's not the type of coach that's so bad that I'd be like, oh, no way. He has I wouldn't celebrate. I just would secretly be like, I'm glad they didn't hire anyone cooler.
Yeah. And I wonder if they got the interim bump, because I thought they looked pretty solid.
They
over
scored
the weekend.
38 points.
Yeah. And I just wonder how much that carries over and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, buddy. We'll see. Super chat from Finch here. We appreciate it. He says, I feel like we should have a Curtis and Ellis live once a week minimum. Always a fantastic time. Still love John, though. We love John, too. You're going to be getting some of that. As we'll be rolling weekly with this SEC basketball podcast that we're doing once we get into SEC basketball play. I think we'll probably introduce it before that, though. Once we get a few more games under our belt, something besides, playing Monmouth and whoever else that we can evaluate and talk about. We'll get that thing going. And Andrew has expressed interest in being a part of that. Doesn't have to be all the time, but I know him. He's good for it. So we'll have a lot of fun with that, and you'll get more of it. So that'll be cool. Finch, I'm glad you're here, by the way, because we didn't get to best and worst of the weekend today. One of my bests was going to be, we took the little man up to Branson, not for Silver Dollar City or Dixie Stampede or whatever, but so he could meet his great grandma. And so that was really, really cool. And she had all these keepsakes of, old things of mine when I was a baby, and we were looking at pictures and stuff, and it was really cool. But she found right here, the St. Louis Cardinals onesie circa 1988, brother. That's so I used to wear this. I knew Finch would appreciate that. You say what now?
Your booty cheeks were in that thing at one point?
Well, okay. And then, so that was the shirt. And then,
Oh, I thought it was okay. The
Yeah,
little shorts come with it. Okay.
Had the little shorts to go with it. It's the full-on old school vintage St. Louis Cardinals outfit there. And so I was immediately like, all right, I got to pull this up on the show, and I hope Finch is watching because he would appreciate it for sure. Dylan, our guy, says, love you guys inside Arkansas. Love my guys Phil and Finch. Phil and Finch getting some love, as they should.
Is that the first time we've had someone super chat to shout out someone in the chat? I like that. Though. I think we should normalize that of like people just giving your boys a little shout out when you get your platform, you get on the stage. You know, it's like when you build the ladder, when you climb the ladder of success, you always need to be turning around to help people up. I like that, Dylan.
I like that too.
On the stage, and he's like, "Hey, Phil and Finch, they're up here too."
Dylan is super chatting a shout out to the chat. Tamara super chatted us about shouting at the chat during the post game show.
Tamara was heated. Is Tamara in here today? By the way, she was heated Saturday. Which, like, listen, I love it. Like, I mean, a competitor. You know, you got to be. It should piss you off when your team loses. I hope she's okay though. I hope she didn't like work herself up.
I hope so too. We'll check on her. PSA for Tamara: if you're here, show us signs of life. Quinn likes Durkin and he likes Summerall. He's good with either. Summerall, I think, is legit. A lot of people echo that sentiment with Summerall. I'll give you that.
Summerall seems to be a very like good program guy. You know, like he's obviously been. I mean, Troy did a phenomenal job turning that program around from nothing to something competitive. He took over a pretty solid Tulane program and has kept them pretty solid. Had a big win over Silverfield the other day. He seems like the CEO type of head coach. You know what I mean? Like that just kind of runs the tight ship, delegates to his assistants, keeps everyone in line, surveys everything. Like he doesn't strike me because he's a defensive guy, but he doesn't strike me as the defensive guy who's like only in the linebacker meeting and only worried about this. Like he does seem like a good CEO type of hire. So it'll depend on what his staff looks like in the SEC. My opinion on Summerall, though, is that the staff he has at Tulane is not an SEC football staff. I mean, starting with the offensive coordinator, who we obviously know. I think he would have to, if you're Auburn and you're hiring Summerall, you need to set aside a lot of money to beef up that staff a good bit.
There are people, and I agree with what you just said there. This is the risk you run when you super chat shout outs to other chatters. If they weren't included and said shout out, they're a little bit salty about it. That now there's like a band of brothers in here and they're beefing. It's getting dysfunctional, this family, and I love it. But it's
we've caused chaos by what was supposed to be a heartfelt thing of a guy of Dylan shouting out two pals. Now all of a sudden it's chaos here. But hey, if you're offended by it, then super chat and shout out your buddies. All of a sudden, you know, you can create the discourse.
Exactly. No, that's exactly
keep arguing
right.
Amongst each other, and money will come towards us the whole time. That's what we like. Which, by the way, I saw them. People were like, "Quinn, you don't have to super chat every time," and he's like, "No, I want to support the guys. Sorry."
Thank you, Quinn.
Yeah,
Quinn's good people, man. We like that. We like that a lot. Quinn will be a regular in the SEC basketball show. I know that for sure. I also see Blind Squirrel Sports, who should be a regular in that as well. He says, Curtis, will we see Victor Scott II become an all-star center fielder in the next year or two? He already plays Gold Glove defense. You might. He's very, very good. He's got to figure it out at the plate. Normally, I would say no. If it's a St. Louis Cardinal and he doesn't already have it figured out at the plate, they sure as hell aren't going to do that for him. But with the new regime, all the resources they have, some turnover in the staff and the player development part and the minors and everything, maybe we get that. Also, shout out to your Georgia basketball team. Did you see the viral Georgia basketball player Dominique Wilkins' kid or whatever? Who
I saw him windmill, alley-oop windmill, bro. Caught the alley and windmilled. We were talking about Georgia the other day, and I think you maybe said something along the lines of like, I just don't know like who the hell these guys are.
I know that dude.
A Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah,
you get a Wilkins. You get a Wilkins on your team. Holy cow! Yeah, I mean, again, I still think their coach is bad and they're not going to be good. That's cool to see Wilkins out there, man. He looked awesome.
He gives off young TB vibes. He's just like he's 6'9" and real skinny, and then he does something out there athletic, and you're like, whoa. That's impressive stuff there. And I mean, maybe that pairing with him, and then you got big Somto to block shots and be physical in there. Maybe they'll figure something out. Maybe I didn't give him enough credit.
Speaking of sons of hoopers, the Anthony kid at Syracuse looks pretty good.
Yeah. Kyan, whatever.
Yeah, he looks good out there.
He is good. There's a lot of really good freshmen. This is a hell of a freshman class for basketball.
A lot of whom are children of people that we grew up watching, like the
Very
Boozers.
true.
I
Yeah.
can't believe, you think Cam Boozer will eventually do the Sharpie hairline like Carlos had that one time?
I hope so.
It was so funny. He came out, he started sweating, and you could see it. It was like starting to go down.
Oh man. Another super chat here from Quim. He said, to be honest, even if he could stabilize our program, like if we get back to 8-4, I would take that right now. Of course, he would upgrade it, and he would have money. We aren't short on money. So Quinn is open to the setup man thing, which here's the deal, Quinn.
Perfect.
We thought that Sam Pittman could be that guy for Arkansas. What I mean by that is you were the guy that maybe gets Arkansas out of a little bit of a ditch and gets him to the next guy. That's great in theory, but how does this always end? Coaches get fired or they go somewhere else. You know what I mean? So if DJ Durkin or Summerall, whoever it would be, if they got if they got Auburn to 8-4, do you think that at that point they would just be like, all right, cool, I'm going to step down. I'm just going to go coach somewhere else. I did my job here, so let's get you the next guy. It's going to win you a national championship. Chances are they would just keep him until he sucked. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like that's the way it works out. I understand that in premise. We thought the same thing. Sam Pittman did his job from that standpoint of getting Arkansas back to that level of respectability to where there were a few times there where you thought, all right, now he can kind of pass the torch. You can get the real coach in here and he'll get him to the next level. But what are you going to do? Like, you can't justify firing him. You're in this situation here, and it could have just stabled out, or you could hit the dumpster, which is what they did, which is why, Andrew, I know you were saying, why are they waiting so long? Why didn't they do this last year? You get into the situation where you're left with no choice, and all of a sudden you're going 2-10, and you're in a position where there's, 20 other really good jobs that are open, and it's kind of a mess.
Yeah, you have to count on it. If that's if you're doing the like bridge guy, which I know you don't announce, you don't at the press conference when you hire the guy, you don't say this will be our guy for 3 or 4 years and then we'll find a better guy. But if that's kind of the premise of what you're hoping for, you just have to trust your administration to know when the timing is right, know when it's perfect, when the perfect opportunity. And if you have a year where you go 7-6 and everyone kind of feels like that's the end of the road, you probably need to go ahead and pull the trigger and fire the guy.
Yeah, I would agree. He says Summerall would be more successful and get us in the playoff, but he'd take 8-4 right now. We would take 8-4 right now as well. Summerall, people are very high on some. We are, I would say, the exception to the rule. Maybe here at Inside Arkansas, we're just maybe not quite as sold as some of the other people are out there, in my opinion, at least. I know that you have a very strong opinion on that whole situation, Andrew, but
he has made a positive impression on most people. That is a fair assessment. That a lot of the national writers and people that have been around him all come away being like, that's an impressive guy, which I do. I mean, that does matter. You know what I mean? It's not the end all be all, but it's like, if you can go into the room and convince everyone in that room that you're the man, that's a very useful skill set in this industry.
He also, Summerall has killed my fun shtick on Silverfield. Everybody wants all these other guys, and then Silverfield just keeps beating them, but nobody wants him. Well, now that he got his ass kicked by Summerall, it's like, can't really play that card.
By the way, before we move on to basketball, do you have that chat right there starred? The one that's up right now?
No, let me do it real quick.
Because before we turn the pages, I want to respond, because this really is the first time this happened. We do have to clarify, we are not talking about the Arkansas Razorbacks right now. Unfortunately, we are talking about Auburn because, that's just how it worked out. We are not talking about Summerall as a candidate to Arkansas. Weirdly enough, I agree that he's not going to Arkansas, and I don't think there's been any smoke on that front, frankly.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, was that Aaron Torres in the thumbnail pic?
Look a little Torres-y.
Hickory Hog says, Curtis, I feel like getting Leak early minutes on the road could help push the lead and help keep the crowd out of it. I don't care who starts, but he could be getting hot while the game is still clunky. Here's my thought process on this. Like, I like Leak coming off the bench. We don't know what he would look like as a starter. Some guys need to see the game for a little bit, and then you come in with your hair on fire and you can hit the ground running. I think Billy Richmond is a prime example of that. I've just been far more impressed with Billy coming off the bench and injecting his energy and toughness as opposed to the games that he started here. I think he's gotten off to kind of rough starts. He wasn't good against Southern, and then had some costly turnovers there right out of the chute against Michigan State. and then he settled into the game. The reason I say that, and a big part of the reason why I brought it up here, is because I wouldn't mind seeing Billy go back to the bench. Still play your minutes, man, of course, but going back to the bench in this game on Tuesday. My question, though, Andrew, is, and no, it doesn't matter big picture, but then who would you start? Because the logical answer would be Carter, but can you really just throw him right back in there after that game against Michigan State? Do you give Leak a look because all of a sudden you like that 3-guard lineup with DJ? I'm just going to be really interested to see what it looks like, because it gives you, kind of a pathway into the mind of Cal and some of the things that he's seeing there.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Personally, I would start Carter. I also like, if you want to start Malik Thomas, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, I'm not going to disagree too much, because I think Malik Thomas might be the literal best player on the team. Like, I don't think that's a stretch to say. So it's like, yeah, I'm certainly not going to like put up too much of a fight. What I want from a starting lineup is stability, stable, consistent. And I know Carter Knox the other day did not give the picture of stability or anything like that. But I do think big picture, with his skill set especially, he kind of just flows. There's not a lineup that Carter Knox isn't a good fit for in the country. You know what I mean? Every single lineup you could put Carter Knox in and he could make it work. And so I like having that at the start of the game. I would like to see him get some spot up 3 opportunities at the start of a game, get him in that flow real quick. And then I think you bring in the Billies and the Malik Thomases, who mentality-wise are the hair on fire, come out guns a-blazing. Not that Malik Thomas couldn't do that in the starting role. He clearly, I mean, sure, I like the idea of getting him hot early. And if that's the route they go, cool. You're not going to get an argument out of me. But personally, I do think having Carter start. Also, Carter, like, let's take off the kid gloves with Carter. I understand that, like, we all know he's not going to be a guy that like doubles his scoring production or anything like that. But like, he's year 2. He's a potential NBA first-round draft pick. I think it's okay to put that guy in a position to where you have that expectation for him of like, hey, be our starting number 3 and be solid, be reliable, be consistent, play hard on both ends. Don't be a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see a lot more out of him. And if people want to use the toe as a crutch for the Michigan State game, be my guest. I'm not going to do that. It seemed a little bit more like a lack of focus, or like just not being fully locked in. Carter doesn't have 0 points and 4 turnovers in a game where he's dialed, and a lot of struggles on the defensive end. And it wasn't just because he was playing out of position. Like, I don't blame him for some of the things that happen where if he gives up an offensive rebound to a guy much bigger and stronger than him, it sucks. Get a body on him, figure it out. I understand that. But he was doing some of those freshman things where he was getting lost in coverages and late to help and getting caught ball watching and getting backdoored. And that's why he was out of position for rebounds. So yeah, he's got to get it going a little bit here. The last exhibition game, he took like 4 shots or something. I was thinking, man, he needs more volume. He's just got to figure out, kind of like DJ, right? We were saying these exact same things about DJ throughout exhibition play. And even after that Southern game of, man, like, we know he's going to be all right. We know that we're going to be able to expect a certain level of play out of DJ Wagner. We're not seeing it yet. So like, he's trying to figure out exactly where he fits and what his role is going to look like. Felt like he found that against Michigan State. I thought he played really, really well. We need Carter to be one of the next guys to do that, because he's so important to what Arkansas has going on here.
I wish Carter Knox would take as many threes as Billy Richmond is taking per minute. Billy Richmond is 1 of 6 from 3, and when he's getting open looks, he's taking them. Mm-hmm. Which, like, I'm not even really going to be too upset about. I just wish Carter would also do that.
Me too.
You get a look from 3, like, hunt it, find it. If there's a shot you think you can make, take it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. All right, let's get out of here. It's about that time. Final thoughts, Andrew. Just let us know what's on your mind. Let the people know.
My final thoughts are, I saw a chat, I guess it was Finch that gave the super chat that was like, we need to get a once a week live stream with Curtis and Andrew. Well, I got great news for you. We're going to do basically 2 a week. Well, during the holidays, it'll be more once a week, but like, we are going to do 2, we're going to do Pod to Palace post game literally tomorrow night. So I know everybody's going to be watching the game. Tune in for that. But no, I did like doing this with you, and I look forward to making fun of all the other SEC teams and stuff, and looking forward to that in the future as well. It's a great show.
Yeah, really good show. Absolutely. A lot of fun. And appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys make this fun. You're the reason that we just turned an hour and a half show into nearly 2 hours. So appreciate everybody for rocking with us. If you watch the show and you're in on the chat and you're part of the community and everything like that, and you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, do it. It's free. It helps us. It doesn't cost you anything. So we would definitely appreciate that. And if you're ever not able to watch on a given time, or you want to listen to the Pot the Palace on your commute to work or everything, but you don't want to pull a Bobby Petrino and be looking at your phone while you do it, find us wherever you find your podcasts. All of us, the Pot the Palace, Bombastic, Inside Arkansas Recruiting, Inside Arkansas Football, all those things, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, you can find us there as well. But you can also find us right back here tomorrow at the same time. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a game day preview on Inside Arkansas Live. Hawks are getting back after it, but we're out of here. For Andrew Ellis, been Curtis Wilkerson. RIP John Neighbors. He's getting his passport. He's leaving the country. We'll see if we see him ever again. We hope that we do. And shout out to intern Cameron because he's in there killing it as well. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a good one. We appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.